Hello and welcome to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. I'm your host, Debra. Always pleased to be here to join you for an informative and helpful podcast supporting you in your weight loss and your health goals and how to feel great. Before I get stuck into this week's episode, I just want to give you a really quick reminder that I would really appreciate the few minutes, not even that, probably seconds it takes to leave me a review and give me a 5-star rating. It helps put my podcast to the attention of more women and so that I can reach and help more women just from your review. And also, please do share me with your friends. I know my listeners like to keep me for themselves because I'm giving really great advice that they are applying and noticing the difference from. And we don't always want to share this type of information, but please do, because lots of other women would really, really benefit. And I would appreciate your reviews, your shares, and anything you can do to highlight my podcast would be much appreciated. Now, this week's podcast is a response to my group coaching clients' weekly check-in. And the check-in is where my clients reflect on their week. They recognize what they've done well. They recognize where their challenges have been. And then my job as the coach is to help them overcome these challenges and set them up in the right mindset, ready for the week ahead. Now, if you're on your own journey to trying to lose weight, the struggles that my clients are facing are probably very similar to yours. And also the realization that, weight loss and improving your health and achieving your goals does require consistent effort, and it can sometimes feel a little overwhelming. And much of my podcast and many of my episodes are here to help and support you and to keep you consistent and to keep you motivated and help you with lots of informative advice, suggestions, tips that will hopefully help you. Now, I'm going to start off by recognizing client wins. Jo has had a really good week in terms of planning. She's prepped her dinners in advance and she got a Pilates workout in. So, first of all, Jo has had quite a long period of feeling unwell. She's now making a much fuller recovery, and as a result, is back on top of planning her week out. I've done a whole podcast on the importance of planning because planning is really key to setting your week up for success and helping you to do all the things that you want to do to support your health and weight loss goal. And have a plan and a structure, because without a plan and a structure, you're winging it. And when you wing it, it leaves too much room for error. And you know the old expression, fail to plan, plan to fail. So it's really great, Jo, that you have been planning more this week and that you've been preparing your dinners in advance. You work long hours and it makes sense to come in from a long day at work and know that you have a nice, nutritious, healthy meal that's high in protein, hits your nutrition targets, readily available for you just to whack in the microwave, heat up, and there you go. All movement is good movement, and it's great that you got a Pilates workout in. Please remember the importance of your home workouts. They are resistance exercise, and resistance exercise is extremely beneficial to your health, to maintaining and building muscle tissue. Remember, your muscle helps support your long-term health, also as you're aging, also helps reduce potential risks as a result of going through menopause, such as low bone density and also heart disease and other long-term illnesses and diseases. And I don't want to scaremonger you into doing resistance exercise, but the benefits are huge. And in terms of weight loss, if you have more muscle, muscle burns more calories at rest. It makes sense to build that muscle tissue as well as support your health. And muscle is what gives you that lean, toned look. If you don't work on increasing muscle, or at the very minimum maintaining the muscle you have, you're not going to get that lean, strong look. So think about and plan in the same way that you've planned your week ahead for the other things that you've been achieving. When can you fit in a workout? Remember, just 20 minutes is really beneficial. And the more frequently you can stimulate your muscles, i.e., doing it, say, across 3 days, even better. But let's start with that one workout and let's get that scheduled in. You recognize that you need to increase your steps, and your protein is a little bit hit and miss. Now, your steps look in quite a healthy range, so I wouldn't worry overly about your steps. They're in a nice, healthy range. In terms of your protein, we obviously have talked about this on our group chat. The group chat is where I support my clients day to day, and we look a little bit deeper into what's happening on a daily basis. And protein is something that Joe is struggling with, especially at breakfast. And I know that breakfast is typically one of the more challenging meals that most ladies find difficult to include breakfast in. And that's because we get brought up usually on cereal based breakfast, and cereal doesn't contain any protein. And the milk that you have in your cereal, you don't have enough. It's a very good form of protein, but you don't have enough of it to get the required minimum amount that is recommended to support your health. So, what I would recommend for Joe, she knows that she's not a breakfast lover, but she also recognizing that skipping breakfast is not serving her well. It hasn't served her well in the past. And for anyone listening, if you're skipping breakfast and you find that you're overeating in the evening, this is likely to be connected. And I would really recommend that you eat your meals, regular meal timings, whatever those timings are that suit you, but to have regular meals throughout the day. And it will reduce the likelihood of you snacking in the evening. And the reason that you're snacking in the evening is because you're bloody hungry, because you've skipped a meal. Maybe your lunch was also low in protein or volume. And when you're distracted and you're busy during the day, no matter what it is that you're doing, you don't really notice until you are at home. You might be watching TV and your mind starts to drift and you realize you're really hungry. And this is where the snacks start coming in. And one snack never quite hits the spot. It's like filling an empty hole. And one snack leads to another, and then another, and then another. And the calories that you consume from all these snacking is probably 3 times the amount of the breakfast would have been had you had the breakfast in the first place. So really think about this and really be open to introducing it and trialing it. Now, for Joe in particular, she has a very early start to her day and recognize that actually it might be better for her to make a protein shake that she can drink as she goes to work very early, and she'll probably be able to stomach it more than if she has like forces food down. And that's absolutely fine. You have to find a way that suits you. And the method and the preferences that suit you. And if you are currently having a cereal breakfast, but you love cereal, think about what you can add to that cereal breakfast to increase your protein. Can you top it with yogurt? Can you also add some fruit just to increase that fiber content? Could you have porridge oats and mix it with whey protein powder or yogurt, or make overnight oats? You could also have a savory breakfast. You can pre-cook some hard-boiled eggs. Could also have something like, your leaner cheeses, like reduced fat soft cheese, cottage cheese. And you can also, one of my personal favorites is heck chicken sausages, or the Aldi equivalent, and batch cook a whole batch. And you can easily make a sausage sandwich, even using one slice of bread if needed, and stuff it with a boiled egg as well. And you've got a high protein breakfast, very easy, and just needs warming up each day. So think a little bit out the box from what you might be having. And when you have high protein meals, it will help keep you fuller for longer, which makes a lot of sense when you're in a deficit and you're dieting. And when you're wanting to lose weight, the idea is that you're eating less, and therefore you are in this calorie deficit. And it will help you manage your hunger that can happen as a result of eating less than your body really wants. Your body wants homeostasis, and it will keep signaling to you to eat, but you're going to be ignoring those signals to eat because you are eating less than your body requires. Now, Lynn has been eating much more. She's used the word thoughtfully. I think what she means is mindfully, one and the same. But she also recognizes that it's not been consistently. And whilst I don't need or want my clients to try to be perfect, because on the flip side of being perfect, it tends to mean you quit. And I don't want anyone trying to be perfect and quitting and going around in this cycle. I would rather consistency, even if it's imperfect, because you'll get greater results from being imperfectly consistent. But if you're sometimes doing some things and then other times completely not, if you look at your averages and what you do most of, you will be the result of what you do most of. So, depending how often you're eating mindfully and how often you're not, will dictate the progress that you're making. So, I would recommend that you try your hardest each day to do the very best you can and really try and eat your high protein meals and your regular meal timing, and be led by your habit-based targets. Now, before I go into habit-based targets, having looked into Lynn's data on our coaching app, I can see that she hasn't been tracking consistently, and or if at all. Now, we used to lose weight years ago without a tracking app. You don't need a tracking app in order to lose weight, but it makes things a lot easier when you're able to manage the amount of calories you're eating by this very useful tool that comes in a form of an app. MyFitnessPal, NutriCheck are the sorts of apps that you can be using to track your calorie intake. Now, if you don't have a very high awareness of nutritional knowledge and the values of different foods, the amount of protein they contain, the amount of calories they contain, a tracking app will really help you understand what it is that you're eating. Sometimes we think we don't eat very much, but the foods that we are eating might be low in volume, but high in calorie. And I want you to achieve the opposite. When I have clients come on, I want them to eat high volume foods, but which come in at a lower calorie. And tracking will help you understand this a lot more, along with the advice that I give. And I have done a whole 3-part mini series all about how to eat more and lose weight. And if you haven't listened to it, I would recommend you listen to it. And along with each episode is a worksheet to help set you up to be able to eat more and lose weight. Now, in terms of you, Lynn, what I would recommend is, if you can track the very best you can, obviously accurately and consistently is the best way to track your calories. But even if you didn't track at all, be led by your habit-based targets. So all my clients on the coaching app have individual habit-based targets that they tick off at the end of the day. And if you've drifted away from ticking them off, bring yourself back to ticking them off at the end of every day. Your habit-based targets, Lynn, are including protein at every meal. And I would start, when you prepare a meal, that you start with thinking, oh, what's my protein source? Choose your preferred source. That's the first thing that you plan when you prepare your meal. You want to fill half your plate with vegetables, salad, or depending the meal type, it might be fruit. You want to fill half your plate. You want to reduce the amount of carbohydrates that you're eating, and you want to eat a smaller amount of fats. And this is all in your habit-based targets, Lynn. I would also recommend slowing down your eating and eating in an undistracted state. So no scrolling on your phone, no working on your laptop, no doing all the things that you do because you can't sit with yourself for a few minutes to eat a meal in an undistracted state. When you're distracted, you will tend to eat a lot faster. You won't notice the taste, the textures, the pleasure that you're getting from food. And you'll get to the end of the meal and you won't even remember eating it. And the chances are, because you ate it so quickly, your hunger hormone that signals fullness won't have been activated, and you'll still think you're hungry and go and reach for more, and therefore eating more than you would have done had you slowed it down and felt satisfied and satiated by the end of the meal. So use that hunger scale as well, along with eating undistracted, to notice when you're reaching that mild, comfortable level of fullness, and then stopping. You don't want to eat past mild fullness, because then you're going to be eating more at maintenance. And you don't want to eat past fullness, because then you'll be in a calorie surplus, meaning you'll gain weight, especially if it's done repeatedly. Now, the other challenge Lynn had is she went out on Saturday night for a few drinks. and said that next time, if she has a night out, she's going to stop at a maximum 2 and not 7. Now, I've done a lot of podcasts that have either been solely on alcohol or include alcohol. And I'm not against alcohol at all. But when it comes to a weight loss goal, alcohol makes things a lot more challenging. Not only is it the calories from alcohol, depending on the type of alcoholic drink that you choose, not only is it the calories, it's the impact it has on your choices thereafter. So if you're drinking large amounts of alcohol, you often make poor decisions, and it will also impact how you feel the following day. You may have had poor sleep. You wake up, you're dehydrated, you've got no energy, your mood is sort of feeling really on the floor, really low. Your desire to do anything, to get out walking, to exercise, to make a nutritious meal is much, much harder when you're struggling with the after effects of alcohol. Is it conducive to a fat loss goal? No. I would look at either removing it or being very fussy about when you choose to enjoy a drink, and definitely stopping at maximum 2. Nothing good happens after 2 drinks. That's what I think. And that's something that I have learned to apply to myself, especially as I've got older. The effects of alcohol hit me a lot harder. And if you want to feel good the following day so that you can, focus on your goal, I would strongly recommend that you really reflect and review on your alcohol consumption. Now, Lynn she's very work focused. She has a very busy job, and she's got a big presentation in a few weeks' time. And she wants to turn up at this presentation. It's a big deal. She wants to turn up looking and feeling her best. And this is absolutely possible, Lynn, because it's your actions that help you to feel good. And so, what I want to remind you is to set yourself realistic expectations. Set yourself some minimum standards that you're not going to drop below. When I say minimum standards, it can be like that you are absolutely not going to hit below 7,000 steps on any one given day. That's your minimum. That you're going to do at least one workout. That's your minimum. Now, you can absolutely exceed that minimum, but I want you to have some minimum standards. Minimum standards around alcohol, minimum standards around your nutrition, taking on board all my feedback and your habit-based targets. Set your intentions, make them realistic, plan and schedule them in, and stay accountable to them. And there's no reason why you won't turn up feeling good, because it's your actions that drive the way that you feel. So align your actions to your goal. And sometimes you might have to make difficult decisions, and sometimes you might have to say no, thank you. And this is all part of showing and demonstrating a balanced approach. Having a balanced approach doesn't mean we say yes to everything. It means sometimes we have to make compromises, we have to make difficult choices, and sometimes we have to say no. So bear that all in mind. And if you're listening to this and that sounds like something you need to do more of, then I hope that this has helped. Now, Ellie feels like she's mentally getting a lot more focused and back on track. She's had a very interrupted week. She's been traveling with work. It kind of breaks up her usual routine, but she's back. Her head is back in the game. And this is where Ellie has really done well this week. She's pushed through what she describes as a stagnant phase. What I would call it is more of like a plateau. But the great thing is that she has carried on instead of giving up. Now, we often all face these sort of stagnant phases, to use Ellie's description. I think it's quite a really good description, where you feel like, is this it for me now kind of stage. And it's really easy to think, oh, fuck this, I'm giving up. Like, what's the point? But actually, there is an absolute point of continuing and carrying on, because as a result of Ellie carrying on, she's had her lowest scale weight. Her scale has gone right back down again to the lowest scale weight that she had a couple of weeks ago. So if she had given up, she would have been further away from her weight loss goal. But because she pushed through and carried on, not perfectly, I hasten to add, but because she's pushed through, she is now closer to her goal. Now, the other thing that we talked about in our group chat this week is Ellie and a couple of other ladies expressed, why does it feel so hard? Now, Ellie is in a second round of group coaching. And, why did the first round feel so easy and now this round feels so hard? And what I explained to the ladies is sometimes it's the reality of what you're needing to do to improve your health and to lose weight, that you got to do this all the time and it's got to be done consistently. It's not like you do it for a set period of time and then stop. And I kind of liken it to when your kid, if you have kids, do you remember when your kids first go to school? It's their first day of school and they're so excited. Yes, you may get the odd child who's nervous, cries, etc. But generally speaking, the kids are really exciting. It's a big deal. They're going to big school. They're in their uniform and it's really exciting. And they go in and they're happy and they can't wait to go to school. Every day is at school today. And then after maybe even a few days, because that's a long time in the mind of a kid, or even the first week, maybe the first 2 weeks, all of a sudden they wake up and they don't want to go to school. And that's because the reality hits that this school thing, this school malarkey, is they've got to do it every day and it's not so exciting anymore. And it's the mundane, boring thing of getting up, getting ready for school. And that's what they've got to do every day. Well, your weight loss and health goals are not too dissimilar to this. When you start something new, it's all really exciting. Your enthusiasm is high, your motivation is high, you're keen to get going, you do everything that you've been asked, and everything's great. And then real life, kicks in. Life throws us curveballs. Ella's been traveling with work. It makes things so much harder. And the reality is you've got to keep doing the best you can and doing it consistently. And it's this boring, repetitive stuff that you have to do every day. And this is the reality. And I'm kind of putting it in a really harsh way because I do want to give you that reality check that even when you achieve the goal that you want and you lose the weight that you want, you have to still do this stuff every single day to maintain the results that you got. You can't go back to what you were doing beforehand because you'll end up with the body that you had beforehand and how you felt beforehand. So if you want to maintain your results and you want to continue feeling good, you have to still keep working on your health. You may not have a weight loss goal. You may have more food to eat each day. You may have a little bit more flexibility, but it's not as much as you think. And you have to keep doing the same things that got you to where you want to be to stay there. And just a huge well done to you, Ellie, for really recognizing that and taking on board my feedback. Now, she has had a challenge. Ellie's challenges has been that she's had a few days of low steps due to her workload. And I do want to reassure you, Ellie, that your steps as an average over the week are okay. You've had some very high step days. And remember, for anyone listening, we look at steps as an average across the week. We all have days where we have more time to do longer walks or we have more movement in our day. And some days we are very desk bound and it's harder to get those steps in and to go out for those longer periods of time. So we look at averages over a week, but keep an eye on your averages midweek. Know where you're at, know what needs to be done, because you don't want to get to the end of the week and think, oh, I could have hit my step goal if I've just done a few more each day. So do keep an eye on that. Now, those of you with children, you've got school holidays coming up. And, this can be a worry because kids off school impacts your usual routine. You may have to stop working. And if you don't stop working, your time is still impacted because they're not at school, they're at home. So my advice when it comes to school holidays is have a plan. Plan out your week. What does it look like? What are you doing? Are you having home days with the kids? Are you having days out with the kids? When are those days? What are you doing? What are the timings of those days? What will you be eating on those days? Days at home and outings. What will you be eating? You need to plan your meals within the days and what's happening on those days. How can you still do the things that you want to do that make you feel good around the kids being off school? Do you need to get up earlier whilst your partner still might be at home to get things done? Or do you need to draft in a friend, a pair, your mother or whoever, to maybe just have them for half an hour to give you time to get out and do whatever it is that you want to do, go for the walk, do the run, etc. When and how can you do it? Do you have to wait until the evening when your partner might be in? Or you can get someone to babysit. How will your week look, and how does each day look, and how will your meals look? Have a plan. If you are doing days out and you're relying on the restaurants that are on site, some of them are often very fast food based, and that may not be something you want to participate in, and it may not align with your goals. So think about, what are you going to take? How are you going to make it work? It's absolutely possible. There was a time when I had 3 young kids. They're not so young anymore. And it is absolutely possible to still be mindful of your goals and enjoy time and days out and school holidays with your children. Challenges of fitting in a workout. So a few of my clients are struggling to fit in workouts. I think to some degree there is a barrier to you doing the workout. It's not a time problem. It's a you and a barrier problem. I think you're making it into something more than it is. It's not a class format where you turn up and someone tells you what to do. You have a home workout, or if you're using a gym, you'll have a gym workout. You have to use your own brain and look at the workout and look at the exercises and set yourself up and actually do them. But I want you to focus on your movement, how your body feels from the movement that you're doing, the muscles that you're working, and know that you don't have to do the whole workout if it's taking too long. Do something, because something is always better than nothing. I always think it's good to do your workouts first thing in the morning before your day kicks in, and then you get distracted. Makes it a lot harder to do it when the evening comes and you're feeling tired. Now, what I've done is I've added in a morning routine into your training plan. And this morning routine will take these 3 exercises performed in a circuit a couple of times, and it will take you around 10 minutes. Moving your body will make you feel fantastic. So get up 10 minutes earlier and see if you can fit in that morning routine. And then maybe that will give you the confidence and the motivation, because you're going to feel good from it, to do your workouts. And remember, something is always better than nothing. Now, couple of ladies, there's no movement happening on the scales. You're not seeing movement on the scales. And I want you to reflect and think about why that might be happening. Obviously, you're not in a calorie deficit. If the scales have stayed the same for a period of time, say a couple of weeks, longer, if they're not moving, then you're not in a calorie deficit. It means you're not eating less than your body requires. So you want to be thinking about your nutrition choices, your tracking method, and making sure that you're hitting those habit-based targets and all the things that we talk about. Making sure that you keep your movement up and that your steps are up and you're hitting your targets, and that you're doing these things as consistently as possible, not perfectly, but consistently. When it comes to weighing yourself, remember, an odd scale weight here and there is just a number plucked from the air. You're a human being and your body fluctuates day to day. This is perfectly normal. The scales are measuring your total body weight, not just body fat, your total body weight. That's bones, muscles, cells, organs, blood, muscle and fat. So when your scale weight fluctuates, could be a number of things that have caused that fluctuation. The things that have caused that fluctuation aren't important, but know that it fluctuates. What we're looking for are trends over time. I recommend as a minimum that you're weighing yourself 4 to 5 times a week, if not every day. And it empowers you over the scales in terms of you recognizing that your body weight fluctuates and learning not to react to it, and instead respond by knowing that if you just carry on adhering to your targets, it will come down, and it will. Last point I'm going to talk about is a question I've had. The question is, what's better for burning calories? Eating before exercise or straight after? this client plays netball, and last night it got too close to her eating before netball. She didn't want to feel sick running around, so she ate when she got back in after netball and wondered if this doesn't burn as many calories. There is no difference whether you eat calories before exercise or after calories. If you were depositing money into a bank, would it make a difference if you put £10 in the bank in the morning or whether you bank that £10 later on in the afternoon? At the end of the day, you've banked £10, no matter when you did it. The calories you consume are the calories that you consume. What I would recommend is around exercise is that it's a good idea to have some carbohydrates to fuel the exercise. You're not going to want it right before. You want something that's very quick release. So something like a couple of rice cakes with some jam on it, or even just one rice cake might just hit the point. Something that's very quick released. Crispy square bar is another option. A little bit of honey on toast, something like that, and make sure you've got a good hour to digest it. And making sure that if you are having toast, that it's white because it's quick releasing, as opposed to brown, which is higher in fiber and takes a lot longer to digest. But there is no difference. Some people will say, oh, you need to train fasted because you'll burn more calories. It's the end of the day, it's about total calories in versus total calories out. That's calories in from food and drink and calories expended from activity. Now, I did put up a post this morning, funnily enough, about the amount of contribution exercise has to your calorie expenditure. And many of us think that exercise is the way for you to lose weight and burn calories. But actually, exercise is the least contributor to the amount of calories you expend in a day. Go take a look at the post. And if you have any questions or you need some help, please do message me, reach out to me. Those ladies on coaching, you can obviously talk to me in the group chat. Anything I've talked about, you want to know more information about, just ask. And if there's anything I can help anyone with, if you're listening to this podcast, please do reach out anytime. All my contact details are in the show notes. I would love to hear from you.